Hello there. Hi, and welcome back. It's me, Phyllis Brown, and we're on to episode 3 of the journey through empaths, our empathic skills. And there is a real sense of how we can maintain emotional balance. I think it's important that we look at who we are, maintaining emotional well-being as an empath. Understanding emotional overload is really key to how we get ourselves out, how we get ourselves out of situations and how we remedy those situations. So I've broken this particular lesson into, or this episode into two distinct spaces for you, just so that we know the distinctions really well. So an empath, we provide significant strength, such as ability to deeply connect with others' emotions. However, this heightened sensitivity can sometimes result in empaths feeling overwhelmed, drained, as they tend to absorb the feelings around them. To protect their own emotional health, it becomes essential for empaths to establish healthy boundaries and to recognize the signs that indicate when it's time to take a step back. And it's to take a step back from those emotionally charged situations, to take a step back from people who emotionally drain you, people who have stopped supporting themselves and they look to you to provide them with all of the answers. That isn't fair on you. They need to actually start to do the work and to find answers for themselves. By thoroughly setting limits, empaths are able to safeguard their well-being while continuing to offer meaningful support to others. So I touched on the fact that for myself, I recognize when I'm feeling someone's emotions. So it's a physical thing for me. I'm a clairsentient person, so I really feel it in my body. And when I get that sensation coming into my body, I then uh, recognize it and I say it sort of out loud, but in my mind. Oh, yeah, okay, so that's them, because you know how you're feeling. And then if you become overwhelmed with emotion, that belongs to someone else. And you just need to figure out who it is if you're in a room with lots of people. If you're in face to face with someone and you went in feeling fine before you met this person, then you meet this person and suddenly you're just like overwhelmed, then that's their energy. So you recognize it and you go, oh, okay, I recognize that now. You can step that energy back. And in saying it into your mind, your cognitive consciousness will shut that door slightly. It will put this little buffer between you and that person. And in my psychic development class, that's the one thing I say to people um, when they go, but I don't, how am I tuning in? How am I, connecting with someone? And that's the easiest way to do it. When you're feeling great, and then you meet someone and then you're not feeling great, it isn't because you're unwell, it's because you're feeling them. It's the easiest thing to sort of get a grasp of in your mind. Because as soon as you leave that person, you that sense of relief, you've let go of their emotions, you go, oh, I feel more like myself now. But that's because you've been sitting in their energy, wondering, is it me? Is it them? Is it me? Is it them? And it is by usually them. It is usually them that you're feeling. So taking that step back is really, really practical, easy thing to action, and it preserves your sense of well-being almost instantly. I think it also helps you from um, having that episode with someone where you're going to meet someone and you're like, oh, I've agreed to this cup of coffee, but I really don't want to meet them. Because inside, empathically, there's that sense of dread. You've had a phone call out of the blue. You're going, oh, I wonder why they phoned. Your intuitive skills are going, alarm bell, alarm bell, alarm bell. You go, "Oh, I don't know why I'm meeting you." And then you go there and then alarm bell, alarm bell. You're instantly picking up all of that unspoken words or everything that's underlying. It's really visible to you. So it's really important that if you have a connection like that, or a dread to go and see someone, then you need to do some protections. You need to sort of really reinforce your auric field. Make sure that you sit in that car like I did at work. I would just sit in the car. I would just ask what's happening. I'd get out of the car and then I would just envision that my auric field was like 5 foot in front of me, beside me, behind me, above me, and below me. It was just like my auric field was everywhere. So that whatever was happening for other people, it stayed at the end of my auric field. And again, that's something I teach in the psychic development course that we need to expand our aura. We don't pull our aura in when we're going into a dreaded situation because you're bringing the vibration of what you're dreading even closer to you as a person. So the further your auric field is, you're holding that dense emotion outside your auric field, outside your feeling centers. So then you can rationally cope with that situation. So it's understanding what you're feeling before you started to feel unwell or on edge or nervous or anxious. So go back to, oh, I felt okay before I met you, so it must be you. And then go, okay, I recognize what you're feeling. And you can say it out loud, oh, gosh, I'm really feeling that you're quite anxious right now. So why don't we just put your anxiety to one side and let's just talk about where that's coming from. And that will calm them down. That will calm that person down. However, empathic people, because they do have this highly intuitive ability, they do get used. I certainly have been used in the past, especially in my 20s, maybe into my 30s, but certainly in my 20s, where people were just lazy. Oh, Phyllis, could you tell me what's going to happen here? Oh, Phyllis, could you tell me what's going to happen here? Oh, Phyllis, can you look into this situation? And they sort of handed all the responsibility over to me. They didn't take responsibility for their own actions. They didn't live in the now. They just handed it over. And it was I think it was around about my mid-20s, 24, 25, where the one or two people who were constantly being lazy, that's when I sort of said, well, it'll cost you. So unless you're prepared to pay me for my time, no, I'm not going to do it. And what that showed me, which was just the most fantastic thing I could have done, people just left. These so-called friends left. And that was just the most amazing thing. It was brilliant because suddenly I had space for me. I had space for my family. I wasn't constantly being interrupted by people looking to me to resolve their situations. And the people who did pay actually valued the guidance. So I'm not saying that you have to pay for your skill, but I'm just giving you an example of when you just start saying no. So look at who is really overutilizing your energy, overutilizing your intuitive gifts and skills. And just start saying, do you know what? I think if you put some time and energy into that, I'm sure you could figure it out for yourself. And we're saying no, and we're creating space in a really manageable, polite, authentic way. I think for me at the age of 24, I just had enough and I had a really responsible job and I didn't want to come home and just have lots of people dumping all of their worries and woes. And I had to come up with the resolutions. So for me, I just had to do something really drastic. So sort of taking that step back, giving them the power to resolve things for themselves is very life affirming for them. And again, you might see who are your friends and who are not your friends anymore when you start to set in these boundaries. And that's not a bad thing. Just be prepared for it. So practices for emotional balance. So we need to keep our balance in there. They're just that whole common sense things. For self-care plays a vital role in helping empaths replenish their energy, maintain emotional balance. That's what it says on my piece of paper. So mindful exercises, meditation, physical activities, going out for a walk in the park, doing, your 5 minute Tai Chi walking or whatever it is that's, in vogue at this point in time. Doing creative pursuits. For me, it's my artwork. So for me, going to my art class, I don't go there for the social aspect. I just go there to refill my bucket. And I sit and I do whatever it is I'm doing, whether it's pencil drawings or acrylics, watercolors, and I just focus on that. I will listen to the music that's playing. I'll talk when I'm spoken to, but I'm not there to be a social butterfly. I'm there to fill myself up by witnessing my own creativity. So that's my thing. That is my thing. I love it. Creative supports are effective ways to restore a sense of calm and renewed emotional reserve. Grounding techniques such as breathing techniques, and I've got some breathing techniques here on Substack and on YouTube in my shorts. Visualizations can help. Just putting yourself into a place of calmness, serenity, your favorite space. Imagine that you're by the beach or in a forest or sitting by a tree, whatever that happens to be. Um, and center yourself just to allow any stress or intense interactions, just to allow all that intense energy to dissipate, to ground, to really ground. Choosing to surround yourself with positive, supportive individuals and seeking professional guidance when needed further contributes to your help. I most certainly do. I have a lovely friend who I get my annual tarot card reading, and she does a reading per month, and I find that really interesting. I dip in and out of it during the year. It keeps me focused on what I should be looking at for that month, and that's really helpful. I do go to other practitioners of theta healing. If when I'm working with a client, more if I'm working with a client and something pops up for them that I can really relate to in my past, I think, oh, I haven't dealt with that, so I really need to go and do that. And I did a little bit of spiritual writing this morning on a situation that's coming up next year. And the first thing it said was you need to do a soul fragment healing. I thought, oh, well, that actually makes sense. Yes, I will do that. I'll do that today. So adopting strategies that support you and that helps you sort of bring your energy back into focus of who you are as a person, what's important for you right now, all of that ensures that your unique qualities remain a source of personal strength rather than becoming a vulnerability, because you don't want to be taken advantage of. You don't want to be used. You don't want to be a person that people just go to with the hopes that you're going to resolve all of their worries and woes. That isn't actually your function. They need to resolve all of that. And so setting boundaries, saying no, feeding your soul, putting in your protections, having your crystals or whatever. I've always got my crystals on as part of my day-to-day stability, my grounding. So, doing all of those lovely practices is really helpful. And I think that once you get into the method that suits you best, then you'll probably find that even going to meet those people who would normally drain your energy, you might cope with them better because you've got these strategies in place for replenishing what's around you, what's happening around you that's best for you. So hopefully that has been helpful. Our next episode, let me just look, is recognizing your empathic traits. I think we've actually done all of that. So I don't think we need to do that again. So maybe this is the last one. I'll see what else I can find on empathic traits. But I hope you have enjoyed it. I hope you can have found some of these hints and tips, especially about your balance and about protections, um, helpful because I think, we are special people. We are very individual. We can be isolationists, so we prefer our own company, but that's all good. It's all good. And we don't have to fix everyone. I think that's the key thing I have learned in my years as working with people, both on a professional basis, but also just on a personal basis with friends. It's not our job to fix everything. It isn't. And the soul that each person has, that soul has come in for a journey, a soul experience. And whatever we're going through, any of us at any given time, there is a learning opportunity in that. And we can't, as empaths, take that learning opportunity away from them. That individual has to learn how to cope and how to develop those coping skills, then progresses the soul onto a different aspect of soul learning. So I really hope you have enjoyed what we've heard so far. Send me some feedback. I always love to hear from you guys. Either on Substack or YouTube seem to be the main places that I find you guys. So until the next time, please be careful, protective, and aware of who you are because you're a really, really special person. Till the next time, namaste.